Author, speaker, attorney Don Brown is with us right now. You've got to get a show on the podcast. You just have to do it, Don, because you're right up the alley of these folks and of me as well. So you got to do it.
Well, yeah, I'd just rather tag on to your rising star, Donna, but thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, rising star. You know what? I must have more than I think, because let me tell you what happens. So I have a lot of awesome sponsors. They are like tops. They're the best in the world. And so they also pay for us to have like a birthday club, anniversary club, and things like that. And I do these giveaways every single week. So, and I've been doing this for how many years now? Like I'm going on 20 years. 20 years.
Wow. Yeah.
And so the past 2 weeks on Facebook, they stopped me, said I could not post anything else, and I'm spamming people. I've been doing this how long?
Facebook we're getting close to the election, and they know it, and they know your voice. And so don't think it's not calculated. It is.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is. Well, anyway, I feel good. I feel good about the election, and let me tell you why. Okay, this is Donna Feazell here, boots on the ground. I'm here with the everyday person. I see what's going on with the small business owners. I see what's going on with the people in the community. Even the folks who are liberals here are quiet. That tells me something right there. I'm seeing not only Trump signs in yards, I'm seeing Trump huge banners. I'm one of them too. I have this great big huge banner in the front yard. And also we've been going to South Carolina a lot. You know, we're going to be out in that area, around the Anderson area. So all the way from Alabama, I've only seen one Kamala sign. One. And this is even going through Atlanta to get there. That tells me a lot.
Well, it does. Unfortunately, you'll see a couple in South Charlotte, but not all that many. But, you know, there are a lot of tea leaves that are blown in the right direction right now. So we've got another week, and we'll see how it goes. But sharing your optimism, but I'm going to wait till the fat lady sings.
Yeah, you have to. And I feel like the cheating mechanisms are out there. That's just always going to be. Right. But more people have voted early, like us. We're going to be in South Carolina on voting day, so we had to go on ahead and vote early. So I was talking with a person in our DeKalb County area in Alabama, and she said, "We've never had this many." I mean, she said, this is overwhelming us. We've never had this many. So a lot of people are early voting. So do you think the little tactic that the Democrats originated about early voting, do you think it's backfiring on them right now?
I think a lot of things are backfiring on them. I think the idea of letting people in from south of the border has backfired, because a lot of those folks are Catholic and don't like the Democrats bull on this social woke stuff. But yeah, I think Trump saw what needs to happen, and he said, bank your vote. And people are mad as hell. Let me tell you, people are mad at these Democrats. They're just, as I've said before, they're English-speaking communists. And so, you bank the vote because you don't know what they're going to pull out of their sleeve. So you got to do it. So, yeah, I think it's something that's also beginning to backfire on a little bit. I mean, in most states with early voting, Trump's running. Republicans are running ahead. We know those are Trump votes because they're being fueled by the president's call to vote early. I have a Friday morning, stogie and coffee meeting with some guys over in Rolling Hills Country Club last Thursday and Friday, first day of voting in North Carolina. I left my meeting at about 11 and tried to stop at the one of the volunteer fire departments in Union County, Hemby Bridge. The line was too long. An hour. So I came back the next day, same thing, an hour. I wound up voting in Waxhaw on Sunday and was able to get in. But I mean, people are really steamed up. So, hopefully it will backfire on them. Usually what goes around comes around. It's time for it to come around against the Democrats.
I think so too. My son lives in Raleigh, North Carolina right now. They'll be relocating soon. But he said, it just blew his mind. He said the line was forever long. And so he's one of those, he likes to talk to people. He never meets a stranger. He's one of those. And he said, I was just talking to people in line, and he said there was a black guy behind me, and he said, I had to take a second look. He had a MAGA cap on. Right. And he said, oh, you voting Trump? And he goes, you better believe I am.
You're seeing more and more of that. And you're seeing so much more of that. Trump relates to so many people. It's just an ability to do that. I don't know if you saw the video clips of Trump who went in these barbershops up there in Queens or Brooklyn, I believe it was. Predominantly black-owned barbershops, and just has an ability to relate like no candidate we've ever seen. Certainly no Republican candidate.
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely awesome. So what he does, I mean, they're forgetting. He's like a marketer. This guy knows how to promote. I mean, he's got it. He's got it down. So I think it was a really smart move when he worked at McDonald's for, I think, because Kamala saying I worked at, well, she didn't work at McDonald's, for goodness sakes. But anyway, he goes out there and it's almost like he's always worked there. I just like his mannerisms. And then I like the one girl is a young girl. And so she had kids in the back. And so she said, oh, there's something about the border. There's something about the border. I hope you get it.
Yeah,
and
right.
I mean, I'm talking people of all ages.
Precisely. Well, you think about it. You said that you're talking about Trump cutting really deeply into the black vote, especially with black males. And when you look at what's happened in New York City, Trump predicted that the mayor would be prosecuted when he started complaining about Biden's border policy, because there's so many illegals, flooding New York City, and it hurts everybody, and it hurts the black population as well, and they're seeing it firsthand. These are Democrat policies, and you can only, you can fool the people only for so long. At some point, people start waking up and say, "Hey, we've been taken for a ride by these shysters called Democrats who will accuse you of what they're guilty of themselves. They're the racists. They accuse us of being racist. They're the racist. They're the ones who've opened the borders. She's the one that can't keep up with her schedule. Says Donald Trump, needs a rest and is ducking interviews. The funniest thing I've ever seen. But they just accuse you of what they're guilty of themselves and lie one in their mouth after the other. And folks are beginning to see it. So good for your son, and good for the young man who was wearing the MAGA cap there. So things are changing, and the demographic alignments that we've seen in politics are beginning to change. And if this keeps it up, sooner or later, most Black Americans will understand that the Democrat Party is the party of Jim Crow. It is the party of slavery. It is the party of the Civil War. It is the party that fought against the Voting Rights Acts and all other types of things. And eventually the truth emerges, and I think we're starting to see that happen.
Yeah, but we don't have to do anything. We just have to sit back and let them destroy their own selves, like Kamala. Okay, so she was at an event. 2 Christian guys, young guys, said Jesus is king. Well, then what does she say? She's alienated a bunch of Christians, maybe who are not going to vote, that are going to vote now, because she said, you're at the wrong rally. It's the way she said it. It's the
all out down the street. And ha with her, with her little, hyena-like laugh.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, of course, and any Christian, listen to our voices that think your vote doesn't matter. You think twice and get out there and vote and bring your friends and family, because this is an opportunity to put the Democrats to bed for a while. And clearly, she's anti-Christian, just laughing at telling somebody saying Jesus is king, you're at the wrong event. You're not welcome here. Well, she should have says amen to that. He certainly is, but she basically said, get out of here with your pro-Christian views, and that's exactly the way they feel about it in their policy making.
Yes, but what I'm hearing, boots on the ground, Christians who, well, I'm not going to vote, I just don't want to be involved. Now they are, because of what she said. It backfired on her.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons, this type of thing is one of the reasons you're seeing such a huge early vote out with Republican voters. Here in North Carolina, as of this afternoon, there are 30,000 more Republican early voters than Democrat. And ordinarily, it's 2-1 in favor of the Democrats. Republicans rush on, election day to try to make up the gap. And of course, we've got the situation in Western North Carolina, which is not still fully recovered, and some Democrat election boards are trying to play games with early voting centers up there. But nonetheless, I think this type of thing is driving people to the polls. People are sick and tired and fed up of it. So, like we were saying, we're both optimistic. And Trump's strategy is you got to swamp them so much to overcome their cheating, because they're going to cheat. I mean, right now, for example, in Virginia, you have a Biden-appointed judge who has told the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth, of Virginia, that it can't purge 1,500 illegal votes from its voter rolls. So the Biden judge said, you got to keep the illegals on your voter rolls. And the governor is trying to take that to the U.S. Supreme Court. We've seen them filing actions in Texas and Florida and other places where these Republican states are trying to clean their voter rolls But Democrats are using lawfare still to try and make sure that they have a mechanism in place to cheat. I mean, Virginia could swing Trump's way. You got several states, Donna, that could surprise folks and swing Trump's way. I saw the other day, just yesterday or the day before, that Trump's within 2 or 3 points in Virginia within the margin of error. Of course, Glenn Youngkin won there, and Winston Sears won there. Winsome Sears, I should say. And although you've got a big hurdle to overcome with those communist-infested counties of around Loudoun County and Fairfax County, and Arlington County, which is basically just a bedroom community for the liberals in the deep state, you got to overcome that, but it's still within reach. Mm-hmm. New Jersey could be in reach. Phil Murphy only won that by about 3 points a couple of years back. So they could be in reach. New York, who knows?
Sure did have a big turnout at his event this past weekend.
Sure, and he's forcing the Democrats to play defense where they normally don't play defense. Mm-hmm. But you got to win Pennsylvania. I mean, I saw an analysis. If you take Georgia and North Carolina, which should happen, although Georgia was stolen in Fulton and DeKalb counties before, and the Republican governor and the Republican Secretary of State did nothing about it. Kemp should have called the Georgia's legislature in. That's water under the bridge. But there's heavy Republican vote out down there. So if you win Georgia, North Carolina, you're still going to have to win either Pennsylvania or Michigan. Let me rephrase. If you take Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada, and those are 3 of those 4 states went to Biden before in the last election. Should not have. All 4 should have gone to Trump. You had cheating in Maricopa County. You had cheating in DeKalb and Fulton County. North Carolina won. But if you want to win all the 4 of those states, you're still going to need Pennsylvania or Michigan probably to pull it off. So, we'll see how it breaks, but things are looking better.
I want to talk about your book. And we're happy to talk about it now, right? We're out there, and I'm going ahead and get mine. So let's go ahead and talk about that, and then let's dig a little bit more. So what's it about?
Kangaroo Court. This is a book about political prosecution, just released by Post Hill Press out of New York. Just released this week. It's available on Amazon. The Kindle edition is about to come out soon, but it looks at the history of the Democrats using political prosecutions to gain power. Going back about 30 years, up to and including the last third of the book is about the Trump prosecutions. So I skewer Jack Smith, I skewer Fannie Willis, I skewer Alvin Bragg, argue at the end of the day that we need to pass laws to prosecute these rogue prosecutors. But it starts with the Ted Stevens case. Ted Stevens, a senator from Alaska that was politically prosecuted. This case is reversed. It was thrown out, but he lost the election. Democrats grabbed that seat. The case involving Rick Perry, who was the governor of Texas, that got prosecuted by the Democrats for vetoing a bill. Kay Bailey Hutchison, the former Republican senator, the first Republican senator from in the South from Texas, was prosecuted by the Democrats. That was thrown out. The governor of Virginia, the former governor Bob McDonnell, prosecuted by Jack Smith. That was reversed unanimously by the Supreme Court. The same Jack Smith now prosecuting Trump. So Kangaroo Court shows how dirty the Democrats have been for a period of time. The Trump cases have brought all this into focus because of how hard they try to use lawfare to keep him off the ballot. And the book argues, and I've argued it, this is one of the planks that I was running on when I ran for Congress. I would use it again if I ever ran again, is that these political prosecutions attack the U.S. Constitution. So if you're prosecuting somebody because you don't like it, primarily because you're a political opponent, one, you're attacking the First Amendment because you're attacking the free speech of that candidate, in this case Trump primarily, the freedom of association. They prosecuted Roger Stone and Steve Bannon and others because of their association with Trump. You are violating the Fifth and Sixth Amendments when you go after their lawyers. Sidney Powell has been prosecuted. Ray Smith's been prosecuted. Giuliani. When you prosecute Trump's lawyers, you're attacking the Fifth and Sixth Amendment because the attorney-client privilege is rooted in the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination and Sixth Amendment right to effective assistance to counsel. So when the Democrats attack Trump's lawyers, they're destroying those constitutional protections. And it attacks the 15th Amendment, the 19th Amendment, and the 26th Amendment, all which guarantee the right to vote. So if I'm trying to take Trump or anybody else off the ballot, I'm taking away the right of the people to vote, to choose who I want to choose. And it goes on and on and on. So the argument of the book in Kangaroo Court, and you can find it on Amazon right now, is that these political prosecutions are an attack on the United States Constitution. And the political prosecutions should be outlawed. Jack Smith should be looking over his shoulder at a review committee to determine whether or not these cases are being brought primarily for political purposes. And there's no question that Jack Smith's prosecutions are brought primarily for political purposes, or Fannie Willis or Alvin Bragg or any of them. If they are brought primarily for political purposes, then those prosecutors should be subjected to criminal prosecution themselves on the backside. It's time we recognize it for what it is. It's time to put a stop to it. And Kangaroo Court was written in large part to try to start to bring attention to how serious the problem has been over the course really of 25 or 30 years, even before they started jumping on Trump. So I hope everybody will get a copy of it. We'd like to get about 1 million copies out between now and the election if we can, and it's going to be a quick push. But the book was written in part to help the president, and it's designed to help the president. So just Amazon.com, Kangaroo Court by Don Brown, and you can have yours tomorrow, the next day. And if anybody wants to mail me one and put the postage in there, I'll sign it and mail it back. So
that's what I want to do. I want your signature, because you'll get to the point where you want to. I'll say, Don, can you come on the show, please? And you'll say, Don, I'm just so busy. We're getting movie deals and all this kind of stuff.
Never, ever.
You never know. You never know.
The other way around, Donna. I got bigger fish to put on the air. So.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. You're one of my big fish. You're one of my big fish. I wanted to mention Fannie Willis. First of all, it's funny. It's not Fannie. It's
that's right, Fannie. But Trump still calls her Fannie. But you're right, Fannie. But Fannie, if you want to see what Fannie Willis has really been up to, there's an entire chapter on Fannie Willis and her lover Nathan Wade in here. I think that's his name. The book has, let me see how many chapters we got. I should have put my readers on here. The book has 43 chapters, and there's a chapter especially on Fannie Willis and Nathan Wade, and just rips them up one side or the other and exposes her for what she has done. There's a book on the chapter on George Floyd prosecutions versus the January 6th prosecutions to show what a crock of hypocrisy that is. And but anyway, I think that it rips Alvin Bragg. It rips this Judge Mershon. I argue that neither Bragg nor Mershon should ever be allowed in the courtroom again, and just goes into a lot of detail on Stormy Daniels and her background. So I would encourage everybody to grab a copy of Kangaroo Court today and ask everybody else to grab one too. It's crucial, not only for this election, but as we move forward and trying to ensure this type of junk stops.
And it needs to stop. It needs to stop. Let me tell you something I know. I've got a lot of black friends in Charlotte. One thing you don't do is tick off a black woman. Yeah. You don't do that. So Fannie, whatever you want to call her, I say Fannie, Willis ticked off she was the other woman in the relationship here. Okay. I think that was part of her downfall because that woman was mad.
Fannie Willis should never practice law. This is nothing. The idea that what she tried to do, she tried to, Trump calls Brian, the Secretary of State, Brad Roethlisberger of Georgia, and says, hey, what's going on? Are there any more votes? Can you find some votes? He's trying to ensure, and we know that Georgia got stolen. I mean, there's no question.
We know that.
You may have seen video from the State Farm Arena when they sent all the Republican observers out and started pulling ballots. So we know that. But so she tries to prosecute based upon a phone call. And she goes so far off the range, you go like, Rika. I mean, come on. So then she pays her lover 3 times as much as a special prosecutor than the other 2 special prosecutors combined. That is in the book as well. She should never practice law again. She should never certainly serve as a prosecutor. And the book also goes after the judge down there for not throwing her off the case. That judge should have thrown her off the case. And I criticize the judge in the case because he should have thrown Fannie Willis off the case for a conflict of interest. He didn't actually find a conflict. He found an appearance of a conflict, appearance of impropriety. He said, one of you, Nathan Wade or Fannie, has to step off the case, but take your pick. So he was giving her a license to stay on so he knew Wade would listen. But see, she was the elected official, and she brought about the stenchy corruption that surrounds this competition, this prosecution, I should say. She should have been thrown off the case. And so I go after the judge also for kind of a spineless I go after a lot of judges in here. I'll probably make a lot of people pretty mad, but that's okay. The truth is the truth. But you cannot allow that sort of thing to go on. These political prosecutions must be brought to an end, dead stop. And these prosecutors have got to understand their consequence if you're going to start attacking people because of their political positions and beliefs. And it's not just politicians being attacked, Donna. I have a chapter in here on a couple of pro-life fathers. There's one pro-life father, Paul Vaughn from Tennessee, who was prosecuted because he believes in life and stood against abortion. Another one, Mark Houck in Philadelphia, was prosecuted. Houck was acquitted. Vaughn was convicted, but they went after, the Biden administration went after these two guys who were peaceful Christians. The only reason the Biden administration went after them is because the Supreme Court reversed Roe. So they went on a war path, and they went after Christian fathers to prove a political point. Those prosecutors should be prosecuted. These guys are prosecuted only because of their political beliefs. There's another chapter in here about a man named Nathan Mackey, who was a cartoonist, who in 2016, Donna, did this Hillary meme about how dumb our voters were. 2016. 5 years later, when Biden gets in office, the Biden DOJ prosecutes this guy Mackey for a cartoon that he did, which is fully protected by the First Amendment. The only reason they prosecuted him was because his political beliefs offended them. Those prosecutors should see the wrath of the system themselves brought against them, because they're using and misusing and abusing their offices for political purposes, and it must come to a stop. So I'm hoping the book Kangaroo Court will be a step in the right direction. Probably took too much time on that, but thank you for the opportunity. These cases are very important to all of us, and we've all got to get educated about them.
And remember, Joe the plumber, who started with Obama, he just simply asked a question. I don't think he was being rude at all. And so they tried to put him out. He passed away, you know. But anyway, they tried to put him. They put him out of business.
Right.
All because he didn't bow to the king.
Right. That's what they do. They use the machinery of government and the machinery of the prosecutorial process to prosecute people. You know, and that's a tyranny. That's tyrannical. That's what they do. I've got a couple of chapters in the book about prosecutions in third world countries, Cambodia, Venezuela, the Soviet Union, Communist China, the Weimar Republic, and Nazi Germany, all prosecute. And we look at prosecutions, political prosecutions, going all the way back to the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire, and they always use conspiracy. Every one of them, from 2,000 years all the way to Jack Smith, conspiracy to fill in the blank. Because when they use conspiracy to prosecute a political opponent, then they can fill in the blank whatever they want to fill in the blank with, and that's what they generally do. And it's got to come to an end.
Even if it makes absolutely no sense and you're caught lying about it. And so many times they have been. They've been caught in so many lies, it's incredible. But what is with people who want to follow along with that? Do they feel like they're going with following the popular crowd? I mean, what's the deal?
You know,
not doing research, maybe?
I think it's just a total lack of research. I got a call the other day from a friend out in Washington State saying, Don, I'm out here and somebody's ringing up something about they don't know what to do. They're worried about Project 2025, blah, 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 blah. It might do this. It might lead to tyranny, blah, 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 blah. You know, but see, the person asking the question obviously is just very, very ignorant and being fed the propaganda the Democrats want to feed. First off, Project 25 is a Heritage Foundation project. It isn't endorsed by Trump, although I've read it and I think it's pretty darn good, but he hasn't endorsed it. And basically what it is, it's a blueprint to reduce the size and power of the deep state. And that's why that's very much needed. I've been advocating that for some time. But they just blow it up. It'll make them a dictator, blah, blah, blah. When you get to the point, like we are now in this election cycle, where they're saying, you know, Hitler, fascist, Hitler. You know, they've done that. Somebody did an analysis. They've done that just about every Republican candidate, including Romney and McCain and both the Bushes and Reagan. When they get down the end, Hitler, when you start saying, you know, she started this thing, Kamala, oh, joy, Beethoven's Ode to Joy. And people are saying, Trump needs to get on the stick. And they've morphed from that all the way down to he's Hitler. They cannot articulate one reason credibly to support her, and neither can she. And so it's down to hate him, try to villainize him. But see, you know, the country.
It's not working. It's not working.
The country's been through 4 years of Trump. They know it's not Hitler. And by the way, as was pointed out by Mark Levin last night on the show, he did a great job. Madison Square Garden, you had a huge event with Trump just last night, and a whole bunch of Israeli flags interspersed throughout the Madison Square Garden. I don't think Israeli flags would be too pro-Hitler. As a matter of fact, they're just naming a town in northern Israel after Trump, by the way, Trump Heights. And
heard about that.
Exactly. So, you know, but they'll lie because the sad part of this, Donna, is there's still so many low information voters in this country that just, you know, turn on CNN or NBC and whatever they say, they pick up and repeat a little bit of it and don't do our homework. We got to know there's a saying that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. And that's true. It's true now as it was 1,000 years ago. We got to be eternally vigilant. We've got to include our fellow citizens. We've got to encourage, I should say, our fellow citizens into being eternally vigilant, because we've got to wake up. A lot of people are waking up. More people need to wake up.
Absolutely. Don, we have to go into a commercial break. Can you believe half the show? We'll be right back in just a minute.